Dr. Antony Fauci, the public face of the U.S. coronavirus pandemic response, was hospitalized earlier this month with the West Nile virus, WNV. A spokesperson for Fauci tells Fox News. Anthony Stephen Fauci, born in December 24, 1940, is an American physician, scientist, and immunologist who served as the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, NIAID, from 1984 to 2022, and the chief medical advisor to the president from 2021 to 2022. Fauci was one of the world's most frequently cited scientists across all scientific journals from 1983 to 2002. In 2008, President George Bush awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian award in the United States, for his work on the AIDS relief program PEPFAR. Fauci was a regular guest on cable news, primetime television, late-night shows and podcasts, offering his medical advice throughout the pandemic. Over time, he became a politically divisive figure on the left and right regarding issues such as masks, lockdown policies, and the origins of COVID-19. Fauci received his undergraduate education at the College of the Holy Cross and his Doctor of Medicine from Cornell University. As a physician with the National Institutes of Health (NIH), Fauci served the American public health sector for more than 50 years and has acted as an advisor to every U.S. president since Ronald Reagan. During his time as director of the NIAID, he made contributions to HIV/AIDS research and other immunodeficiency diseases, both as a research scientist and as the head of the NIAID. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Fauci served under President Donald Trump as one of the lead members of the White House Coronavirus Task Force. His advice was frequently contradicted by Trump, and Trump's supporters alleged that Fauci was trying to politically undermine Trump's run for re-election. After Joe Biden took office, Fauci began serving as one of the lead members of the White House COVID-19 response team and as Biden's chief medical advisor. Fauci stepped down on December 31, 2022. The 83-year-old Dr. Fauci was born in Brooklyn, New York City, to Stephen A., whom lived between 1910 to 2008, and Eugenia Lillian, who lived between 1909 to 1965. Fauci is the youngest of two children. His father, a pharmacist, attended Columbia University and owned a drugstore. Fauci worked with his mother and sister at the pharmacy's register and also delivered prescriptions. The pharmacy was located in the Dyker Heights section of Brooklyn, directly beneath the family apartment, previously in the Bensonhurst neighborhood. When he was a child, Fauci developed a fascination with World War II and played basketball and baseball. Fauci's grandparents immigrated to the United States from Italy in the late 19th century. His paternal grandparents, Antonino Fauci and Calandra Guardino, were from Sciacca, Sicily, and his maternal grandparents were from Naples. His maternal grandmother, Raffaella Trematera, was a seamstress, and his maternal grandfather, Giovanni Abais, was a Swiss-born artist noted for his landscape and portrait painting, magazine illustrations in Italy, as well as graphic design for commercial labels. Dr. Fauci is married to Christine Grady, a nurse bioethicist and chief of the Department of Bioethics at the NIH Clinical Center. The couple has 3 daughters, Jennifer, Megan, and Allison. Fauci grew up Catholic, but also considers himself a humanist who has faith in the goodness of mankind, stating that he thinks that there are a lot of things about organized religion that are unfortunate, and that he tends to like to stay away from it. In December 2023, Fauci stated that he still considers himself a Roman Catholic, but he does not practice his faith anymore for a number of complicated reasons. Clarifying his relationship with the Catholic Church, he stated, "I'm not against it. I identify myself as a Catholic. I was raised, I was baptized, I was confirmed, I was married in the church. My children were baptized in the church. But as far as practicing it, it seems almost like a pro forma thing that I don't really need to do." Fauci attended Regis High School, a competitive Jesuit school on Manhattan's Upper East Side, where he captained the school's basketball team despite standing only 5 feet 7 inches (1.70 meters) tall. He decided halfway through high school to become a physician. After graduating in 1958, Fauci enrolled in the College of the Holy Cross, where he studied classical Greek and worked in a construction gang during the summers. He graduated from Holy Cross in 1962 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Classics with a pre-med track. Fauci then attended Cornell University's Medical College, now Weill Cornell Medicine, graduating with a Doctor of Medicine degree in 1966, ranked first in his class. At Cornell, he focused on adult internal medicine, mainly infectious diseases and the immune system. Fauci then did an internship and residency in internal medicine at New York Hospital Cornell Medical Center, now Weill Cornell Medical Center. After completing his medical residency in 1968, Fauci joined the National Institutes of Health (NIH) as a clinical associate in the Diseases NIAID Laboratory of Clinical Investigation (LCI). He became head of the LCI's Clinical Physiology section in 1974, and in 1980 was appointed chief of the NIAID's Laboratory of Immunoregulation. He became director of NIAID in 1984. Fauci has been offered the position of director of the NIH several times, but has declined each time. Fauci has been at the forefront of U.S. efforts to contend with viral diseases like HIV/AIDS, SARS, the swine flu, MERS, Ebola, and COVID-19. He played a significant role in the early 2000s in creating the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, PEPFAR, and in driving development of biodefense drugs and vaccines following the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Fauci has been a visiting professor at many medical centers and has received numerous honorary doctorates from universities in the U.S. and abroad. Fauci has made important scientific observations that contributed to the understanding of the regulation of the human immune response, and is recognized for delineating the mechanisms whereby immunosuppressive agents adapt to that response. He developed therapies for formerly fatal diseases such as polyarteritis nodosa, granulomatosis with polyangiitis, and lymphomatoid granulomatosis. In a 1985 Stanford University Arthritis Center survey, members of the American Rheumatism Association ranked Fauci's work on the treatment of polyarteritis nodosa and granulomatosis with polyangiitis as one of the most important advances in patient management in rheumatology over the previous 20 years. Fauci discovered how to redose cancer drugs in a way that turned a 98% mortality rate of the disorder vasculitis into a 93% remission rate. Fauci has contributed to the understanding of how HIV destroys the body's natural defense system, progressing to AIDS. He has outlined the mechanisms of induction of HIV expression by endogenous cytokines. Fauci has worked to develop strategies for the therapy and immune reconstitution of patients with the disease, as well as for a vaccine to prevent HIV infection. His current research is concentrated on identifying the nature of the immunopathogenic mechanisms of HIV infection and the scope of the body's immune responses to HIV. In 2003, the Institute for Scientific Information stated that from 1983 to 2002, Fauci was the 13th most cited scientist among the 2.5 to 3.0 million authors in all disciplines throughout the world who published articles in scientific journals. As a government scientist under 7 presidents, Fauci has been described as a consistent spokesperson for science, a person who more than any other figure has brokered a generational peace between the two worlds of science and politics. On June 26, 2023, Georgetown University announced that Fauci would join its faculty as a distinguished professor, teaching in both the School of Medicine and McCourt School of Public Policy, effective July 1. Politics. Although Dr. Fauci is not a politician, he has interacted closely with various political leaders across multiple administrations. His scientific advice and public health recommendations have sometimes drawn him into political debates, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic. Fauci has had cultural impact in many ways. Owing to his prominent role in the United States' response to numerous global pandemics, most notably HIV/AIDS and COVID-19, Fauci has become the subject of tributes and interpretations across various media, including television, literature, merchandising, and internet memes. Brad Pitt's performance as Fauci during the 2020 season of Saturday Night Live earned the actor an Emmy nomination, and praise from Fauci. Author Sally Quinn has credited Fauci as the inspiration for the love interest to the protagonist in her best-selling 1991 romance novel Happy Endings. Larry Kramer based the character Dr. Antony Della Vita on Fauci in his play The Destiny of Me. In the spring of 2020, amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, bakeries across the United States began selling pastries, particularly donuts, with Fauci's face on them to pay tribute to his work in the public health sector. In September 2021, Fauci, a documentary film about Fauci's life and career, was released by Magnolia Pictures. The film was produced by National Geographic Documentary Films. In November 2021, Skyhorse released a book by anti-vaccine activist Robert F. Kennedy Jr. titled The Real Anthony Fauci: Bill Gates, Big Pharma, and the Global War on Democracy and Public Health. In response, Fauci described the author as a very disturbed individual. In his career, he has received many awards and honors, with numerous selected works and publications. As of 2024, Dr. Fauci's estimated net worth is around $10 million. His wealth comes from his long career at the NIH, book deals, speaking engagements, and other professional activities. He was one of the highest-paid federal employees in the United States during his tenure at the NIH. Dr. Fauci announced his retirement in 2022, stepping down from his role at the NIH at the end of that year after more than 50 years of service. Dr. Fauci remains a respected figure in the medical community, known for his contributions to public health and infectious disease research.